now we can move into the Last of Us.
Lovely.
Okay, Ryan, go ahead. Back at
Lovely.
it.
I mean, so episode 2, right? Here's the thing. I'll say this, John. Last episode, you mentioned a few times, like, what if they pull a Final Destination here? And I was like,
Mm.
no, no, it's happening. It's happening.
I knew it was over once they showed there was like a tease of just a golf club. And I was like, all right, never mind, it's over. It's done.
Let me ask you this. Did you really think they were not going to do it?
I don't know. I thought they might get somewhat, maybe be a little. I don't know. I mean,
No,
that's such a crucial plot point for the entire thing to happen, to exist. So it has to happen.
It's full send.
I don't
They
know.
had to do it. They had to do it. We're of course talking about Joel's death. I guess so. I've got some notes here, right? So, episode 2 and 3. So Maria told Joel he's a refugee. Kind of a big deal there, which has the better through line explanation of helping strangers, because that was like the big thing with the conversation route. Part 2 is why would and it. Well, here's the other misnomer. A lot of people think Joel is the one that gave up his name at the cabin when it was Tommy who said, "I'm Tommy, this is my brother Joel." But that was like a big talking point back when the game came out, is like, oh, Joel is soft and that's why he's helping a stranger and giving his name up. But, they kind of went out of their way to give that a better through line of like Maria consciously saying like you were a refugee at one point. So kind of opening up why Joel is a little bit softer in Jackson, and how they sort of meet, how it comes to a head right in that factory after Abby triggers the horde.
Mm-hmm.
You like how they did that, where they're on the second level and Dina's downstairs, which it's Dina, not Tommy, and
Right.
Dina
I noticed
goes
that.
right, and Dina goes out of her way to say like Joel, like she's calling out to him, not realizing.
And then she looks over and is like, "Oh, you're Joel." Yeah. So it
Yeah.
was interesting the way that they set that up to be more accidental, I guess, not as like purposeful, just introducing,
Right.
each other. So that I think makes more sense with what they did there with the series than what they did technically in the game. Although there are some other issues. There are some issues I have later on when we get to the big scene and stuff. But I thought that was interesting the way they had Dina there with Joel instead.
Yeah, so this is like, I guess, the biggest deviation that we're seeing right now, because it was Joel and Tommy that were at the cabin. They were out on patrol. That's how the death happens. So instead, it's Joel and Dina, which has implications into episode 3 and possibly further along. I guess we'll see, because we'll stick with episode 2 for now. So they get to the cabin, obviously. Abby's monologue was a lot longer, like way longer.
She explained a lot of stuff. Did you notice that? And it was kind of because in the game it happened and we're like, okay, what's going on here? And then they spent a good chunk of the game explaining it to us through Abby's eyes. And as this is happening, because I mean, she just basically put everything out there. This is why it's happening. And the only thing I think of is just we're not going to really experience as much as we did in the game through Abby's position or through like her experiences. They'll probably still do flashbacks and other things, I guess, to bring Joel in and stuff. But I think in general, it's going to be mostly us following Ellie.
Well, that's the thing. I thought for sure, like, anybody that played the game sort of knew, like, going into the show, they're going to play with the timeline a bit. But it's like, oh my, maybe now that will kind of be that thing of like season 2 is mostly Ellie from this point on. And then season 3 is going to be mostly, maybe mostly Abby. That'd be kind of a bold thing to do if like most of season 3 is her perspective. Mind you, they've not casted Yara and Lev. So we know for like a fact, basically, that portion of the story, we're not going to see that until season 3 in all likelihood. And that's a big part of Abby's story. But I'm curious how we only have 4 episodes left. You don't really see a lot. She was not in episode 3 at all. Neither was Joel, obviously. So no Joel flashbacks either.
Right.
So
right.
I'm curious how much of Abby we will see this season.
It does kind of feel like Abby obviously killed Joel here and kind of has left now. And I'm wondering if you're right. Maybe that's all we're going to see for the rest of the season. That might be it.
Yeah. So the explanation thing too, right? Like that's a big difference. This monologue was so long. She gives the motives right away. She also confirmed right then and there, like, that was my dad you shot in the
Mhm.
hospital. And that's tonally, that's where it's like so different because initially in the game, you have, Joel kind of be like, get the speech that we get the speech you rehearsed and get it over with.
Yeah.
Stupid man, don't get to rush this. Starts going for the torture right away. Now, there's that sort of cutaway to where you're then playing as Ellie to get to the cabin. So, conceivably, maybe a discussion does take place there, but the player doesn't see that, where Abby does get to air out grievances to Joel as far as like why I'm killing you, basically. But the
Mhm.
show decided to show you that, which sort of changes the tone. Also, I found it weird, like I don't know about you, the death sort of when I watched it, I was like, oh, this is a bigger twist of the knife because you have like after it's done and Ellie sees it, she crawls over and it was like kind of a long thing. And I was like, oh, that was initially I thought it was like harder to watch, but then I'm like, well, I look at the game one and I'm like, I don't know, that one still hits pretty hard too. It's the lighting that I think is a big
It's
thing
the
for
lighting.
me.
I was gonna bring up the lighting, yeah. Yep.
It's yeah, that's what was so different. They're right near the windows upstairs, so it's in broad daylight. They like the game. There's just so much dread, and like
Mhm.
when she's armed up and she's going downstairs into that dark. It's like I think it's a basement basically, or that at least a level that doesn't have direct sunlight. But the way it's shot, it's so dark down there in the game, and that was like a huge difference for me.
They still had some because they had a shot of Abby with the holding the golf club and the light kinda shining behind her a little bit, like the darkness
Mm,
in the game. They still had some lights. There was like a window there, but it wasn't just like daylight as we have with the show. I don't know if that was more for just filming purposes or what, but they definitely changed the tone of that scene quite a bit to where I preferred the game the way they did it, the look of it. As you mentioned, it looked, and also let's face it, like Abby looks much more imposing in the game versus in the series. I mean, she's very small in the show, so it's not as menacing. I feel like just kind of looming over Joel as just like pulverizing him with this like 3 iron. So I think that plays into it, and the fact that it was super bright daylight. I just liked how everything looked in the game versus also at the end she like stabbed him with the
yeah.
golf club. Not as much impact as in the game where she just like cracked him over the head with the thing.
Hmm. Yeah, it's just
And
a different way to do the killing blow.
yeah, exactly. So I think a lot of that played into it. I mean, it was still very impactful because I'll tell you this: as soon as that happened, and social media went crazy again, you could tell the people who had not played the game, right? Which is fair because there are many people who were finding this even for the first time, and they're like, "I'm not really into playing games, but I'm going to watch this." Man, they did not see that coming. That
John
was rough.
John, I was eating. Like this is why I'm not this is why I'm not finishing Rebirth. Because that last week, dude, I wasted so much goddamn time on Reddit. I wasted so much time watching reactors on YouTube. I never watch stuff like that, but I was like, I gotta find people that are reacting to this moment, and I gotta find people that like say in the intro of their video, like, we're not gamers and we're so excited. And I had to see it. I was it was like sustenance. I didn't have to eat the days that I watched these videos. That's how much I was fiending off this content. It was crazy
Do you think
because
they saw that teaser with the golf club and they were confused about it? Like, oh, they're putting a driving range in at the settlement or something. Like,
I
what
think
was?
dude, I think everybody has that moment of like he's got plot armor. And I think they
Mm,
all felt
that's
it.
true.
They all felt it right up until the stab in the neck. It's the stab, it's the killing blow. Everyone I think in there was like expecting that even though he looks demolished basically, like if it wasn't for the killing blow, maybe a TV viewer is thinking, "Oh, they'll get him out of there and he'll be on bed rest," or no. Like they did it. They full
Yeah,
sent it.
quite shocking when you have that kind of that kind of a main character get killed off like that.
Mhm.
Especially because they had the monologue that followed up to it. Because the TV viewer, I assume, sees the monologue happening and it's like, okay, the classic trope of the bad guy talking too much and too long, and Ellie's gonna bust through the door and save, and it just never happened. It is interesting the way that I think maybe I shouldn't maybe absolutely shocked a lot of people who didn't play the game. For us, we're like, here we go. Like I was just curious how they were going to present it in the series, and didn't like it as much as the game in that sense, but then also leading up to it, how she learned about Joel's name made more sense in the series than the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
they're making these like
give and take.
fine-tuned adjustments that I think are like a really nice touch and sort of complement that original story in a sense. But so hmm, what do you think about revealing the motives like right then and there? Because what's funny is like I look back at the game, right? And that was like such a big talking point as like,
It was
we should know more about Abby beforehand or something like this. But there's like a particular line a little further into part two that really resonates with, I think, the emotion that anybody feels in that moment where what the game's trying to do very purposefully. It's like they kill Joel. You don't know why. She starts her revenge sequence, right? You finally get to, the thing is, I'll admit, I only played part two one time. So I might be a little fuzzy on like exact moments and when they happen. But if I remember correctly, Nora is the first person that Ellie gets to. So Ellie gets to Nora, right? And
I
right when
I was gonna say I think that's where the season might end. It's possible.
wow, you think it's gonna end there? That's way
You
too
don't think
soon.
so?
I
I'm curious how much they're gonna draw some of this stuff out coming up.
well, either way, like with the game, when you get to Nora, right, and you
Yeah,
have that interact with the interaction with Nora, and it's like, oh, you finally reached somebody that was there that day,
right.
and initially, like, there's just only a few lines of dialogue. She's like, "Do you still hear his screams?" Like, I still think about it too. And right then and there, you're like, "Oh, what does this group feel guilty?" And then right away, she's like, "Yeah, he sounded like a bitch when he died," or something like that. And you get so fired up because you're like, Why the fuck did these people do this?" And like they actually were fully on board with it too. And so there's so much motivation from the player of, holy shit, I am seething with anger and I want to figure out what the hell happened. Whereas the show, you're not going to necessarily get that to the same degree because you do know why it happened.
Right. That's a good point because you feel like that should be that unanswered question that keeps you kind of pulling through the story, like the plot and everything, the story, like finding out why all this happened. The only thing I think of is they, they maybe they think the TV viewing audience is maybe less invested compared to the player because we spent time playing this game, like actually interacting with it for so many hours, and we're more invested in Joel than the TV audience. So we want to play more. Although then they made us play as Abby, and a lot of people were annoyed at that. So it is interesting they're going that route of here's kind of one of the big mysteries that kept the game going there for a while. We're just going to throw it at you right now because you feel like they could have done that, and then over time had like flashbacks or things, and then you put together that Abby, the one that killed Joel, is like the young girl who comes across her dad in like the operating room and stuff that's on the ground. And eventually you start to piece all of that together and you're like, oh, and that's part of the one of the end of the seasons or something as you realize that connection.
Right. I almost feel like it's just a conscious choice of like, if we hold back the motives because it's an existing work, like maybe we should just get it out there. Because like if you played part two in 2020, sure, it's like a 30 something hour single player campaign, but if you play it like that weekend, you might be able to like see it all the way through. Whereas the show, it's weekly. It's also another season, which will be even further away. So maybe it's like we can't really keep that carrot on the stick for that long. Maybe we should just put it out there.
Where do you where do you think the season is? Because we're trying to figure out now. You said they haven't done enough of the casting to get there. Where do you think the season's going to end?
I thought the theater. I thought the theater. Now I'm not so sure. I guess what we can. Well,
Well, yeah,
actually,
but you said they hadn't cast it. Who didn't they cast yet?
Yara and Lev.
Okay.
But I only played part two one time technically, so I might be a bit iffy as far as like how much is after because
Well,
because
the issue
well
here is in the
oh,
theater, as you're mentioning, Lev shoots an arrow through Dina.
you're right. That's I
So
can't.
that's
I'm
why I
so
was
iffy.
that's why once I heard that, I'm like, oh, it can't be at the theater because they could always change that. Like it could be a different confrontation there. They could move that around. Because I do think the
Yeah.
theater makes the most sense for the end of the season with 4 episodes left. So maybe Lev isn't there yet. And Abby comes across Lev. Although then that means that Owen has died. Like a lot of these characters start dropping
Shit.
then, you know?
Yeah, well, that's why I started having doubts of like maybe it's not the theater because like I'm it's so fuzzy as far as like exact moments of when certain things happened. But you're right about that.
That's why I'm still if I had time, I was thinking about going through
I
The
wanted to
Last of
play
Us
again.
Part 2 remastered while we're watching this over
Yeah.
the next like 4 weeks or so. Still do it because I mean it's like a 20 some hour game, I know, but still it'd be interesting to kind of go through and maybe I don't know if you can line up the episodes. Just gonna play through the whole game to line up the episodes here just to see the differences.
Mm.
Like play through half the game as we're going and then pick it back up, I guess, when the season starts back up.
Before we move on to episode 3, what'd you think of the Jackson horde though? The whole
Dude,
horde defense.
that looked, I mean, I think overall it looked great on screen. I thought it looked, I mean, although I guess kind of at the end, they play into the idea of, oh, he's out of fuel and oh, no, we're good. I mean, they played into that. It's, I don't know. It's like, it's a TV show, right? It's fine.
Well, I thought it was just like because I've like seen a lot of people talk about how it it was well, it's new from the game. There's not like a big attack
Right.
on Jackson, so this was a whole new thing. And so some are like, "Well, why was that there?" It seemed kind of pointless or it's keeping away from what we know is gonna happen at the cabin. But I think it just made for good TV, even if there's like
Yeah.
no stronger implications further on, which it
Good
did have
action.
good action, but it did have implications for the next episode, obviously.
Yes.
Um,
Yes, it
s-
did because they had to also kind of explain like a sort of a 3 month time jump.
yeah. That was so
So
that's a big change too for episode 3 is that it's a 3-month time jump of Jackson repairing itself, and Ellie was, like, in an infirmary basically for 3 months, whereas in the game, they all go out, like, right away. First, Tommy actually leaves first, which is
right.
kinda nuts. Tommy leaves first, then Ellie and Dina go. I forget where as far as, like, when Jesse would go and get but I guess he's, like, the last one to leave because he was trying to
He'll
bring her.
eventually remember he
Yeah.
eventually like catches her by surprise and it's,
Right,
oh,
he
okay, Jesse is just here, yeah.
so for the 3rd episode, it's a 3-month jump. They also do a whole thing where you see the council and how he explains that we have to put this to the council and they have to vote on it. They vote no because you actually see a little bit of, like, the community and how they would sort of, deal with an issue like that, and the proposal was 16 residents would go there to execute the person that killed Joel. It was a kinda cool like, a cool extra little thing.
Mhm.
It's rejected though, and so Ellie and Dina leave, and we don't know if Tommy leaves to go to Jackson. That's not shown in episode 3, and I'm almost concerned in a way because like they're they're hitting all the same beats, right? This is part 2.
Yep.
Like they're taking their liberties, and I think they're still very close to the source material, which I like. If Tommy doesn't leave for Jackson, I think that or if Tommy doesn't leave Jackson, because he has a whole arc in Seattle. You don't really see it, but you hear about him and how he encounters the crew, the sniper scene. Like there's so much that has to take place. If they like deviate from that, because they are, I think, laying some groundwork for why he doesn't want to leave and that the Jackson assault happened. He's got a kid. Maybe he's a little bit reluctant. Maybe he voted no at the council. Like I'm concerned.
I wouldn't be surprised if he is like covered more over the next, maybe he gets his own episode or something coming up. I could see that happening. But that is interesting that we could actually see more of his adventures there, I guess, if they decide to do that. And I do think it's a way for them to maybe extend the season a little bit to where Ellie being Nora to death could actually be one of the last parts of this season's. But yeah, you're right. They've kind of switched that. Tommy was gone before Ellie, and then Ellie's like, "Oh, okay, well, Tommy's gone. I'm going." So I'm not sure what the next. That's maybe that's part of the thing that's good. We know what's going to happen because we have the beat by beat for the game, but now it's like, what order is that going to happen in? And
Mm.
does that affect sort of the way that now the TV audience is going to see this stuff? So I assume what's going to happen here is this next episode, Tommy's going to find out Ellie and Dina left, and he's going to be like, okay, well, I'm going to get them instead of the other way around in the game. So I assume we'll start up one of these episodes coming up, and he'll find out and then go. And then maybe we'll jump back and forth between him and Ellie and Dina, and we'll just sort of see them dealing with, by the way, we did see the scars,
So the Seraphites were introduced much earlier, which I'm
yeah.
fine with. That's cool. I think it's really interesting how they introduced them, because it's all, for the TV viewer out of context. Who are these people? Oh, they're very cult-like.
Mhm.
They're I don't want to say bad people. Everybody's sort of bad in this world, but like they're shown as very innocent in a way. Like right away, they're displayed as like they're leaving a war, um, and they have to take cover, and then the wolves come and kill them. So it's they're actually being shown off in a much more innocent fashion compared to what we obviously know is a little bit of warfare between them and the WLF.
You think it's just because we already see Abby as just killing Joel? They're like, we're going to keep that going here with the wolves, and they're kind of. I mean, I assume they're being built up as the big bad guys at
They're
least for now.
definitely
You know?
painting the WLF in such a manner that is, I think, trying to surprise people in a way. If you didn't play the game, because you might be looking at it going, okay, the WLF are like just this small crew, and maybe they're just only a small cell of maybe a slightly larger organization, but nothing that they can't handle. And episode 3 ends off with showing that, oh, this is actually a full militia, and they're way bigger than what two people can deal with.
Yeah, when
And
we saw the Seraphites, I'm like, oh, here we go. All right, because I got flashbacks to trying to get through like the rain and stuff with them, and you're trying to stealth around and beat them with a hammer.
yeah, so like they because you didn't see the last 10 minutes of the episode basically.
No,
So
I still have it paused right here.
they gunned him down. The WLF gunned him down. You don't see it though. They eventually find, or Dina and Nellie come across them, and they're all gunned down. So and then it ends off finally on like the militia going through Seattle because they made it to Seattle.
You saw that they brought a focus to that hammer.
Yes, they did.
You think they're gonna have the scene where they just beat that person's arm in completely?
That would be a season 3 thing probably, but yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
that'll be. I'm trying to think of all these things where the TV viewing audience is gonna find out some of these like signature moments for the first time.
A signature moment.
That was a bit. Do you remember when the trailer happened?
Yes,
With that?
it was a
And
big
people were
deal.
like, "How can you show that on what was it, the Game Awards or something?" There, remember that? That was a big thing. It's like,
I
how can you
don't
show?
Was that, I thought it was Paris Games Week. Wasn't it a
Was
Paris
it?
game?
It was
Uh,
some event, and they always have that mature rating thing flash up. That one legitimately like caught some people off guard though. I
well,
remember that. There were
it was
articles written.
yeah, it was the whole Kotaku article, which was funny because then you had the writer Hallie Gross talk about that in the Grounded 2 documentary, where she like called them out, and she's like, "You fucking idiots! Like, did you even know a woman wrote that?" Like, that was a whole thing. That was funny. I would think that's season 3, but
Yeah. Oh no,
yeah,
I would assume so too. Yeah, you're right.
yeah, you got the Seraphites. Oh, the Ellie and Dina tent scene. I don't think you saw that either, basically. Because they move the timeline around, right? So it's like they're actually playing with Ellie and Dina's relationship in a way where in the game they have the whole Eugene weed scene basically.
Hmm.
Spliff up a roach, have some fun, have some little fun business there, and that's all prior to the death scene. But they very much blossom that relationship right away, and it seemed clear to me playing the game that they're like an item right then and there. From that point on, they can't. I mean, they've moved people around in the show, so it's like they didn't get to do the weed scene in episode 2. They sort of moved
Right.
that up here into episode 3 in the tent, where Dina asks Ellie about, oh, how would you rate the kiss? Oh, it's a 6. Oh, you asshole, that's too low. But it's also like, they're on this journey and they're in a tent and it's raining. So it's like they're not going to do the business right then and there. And Dina's even going out of her way to say, like, well, you're gay, I'm not. So they're sort of playing around with that emotional will they, won't they back and forth. And maybe Dina's own coming to terms with her bisexuality, which is kind of interesting. And curious how long that may or may not take for them to sort of blossom. But they were very much an item like pretty quickly in the game compared to the show.
Yeah, I was gonna say they got that out of the way real fast. So that's I mean that's again that's just I think that plays more into the I keep saying it, but the TV viewing audience. Just that would actually be the I guess the arc that they would follow as opposed to why did Abby kill Joel? As crazy as that sounds, those kind of like love storylines tend to work better
Yeah.
for TV audience. I don't know. That's just it stood the test of time. It works. There are some franchise or some series, I should say, that have been held up completely by that of the will they won't they kind of thing for seasons and seasons and seasons, you know.
I'm just not sure if it's like the right call, like if it's needed during this time
I
around.
don't think it's as needed because this isn't going to be a thing they're going to run for, I figure, 10 seasons or so. It doesn't need to be something that's strung out or prolonged for like a length of time.
Yeah. I mean, it does give Dina more motivation. I thought it was pretty notable, like when she's at the dinner table with Ellie and she's like, oh, don't be mad, but I know their names. And Ellie's pretty upset that she withheld information for 3 months. But, Dina goes out of her way to say, like, I loved him too. Like they showed a
Well, that's
lot more of her. There
they
were
showed a lot
like
of her and him, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I like that she has more motivation, but it's reading to me like they're giving Tommy motivation to like stay in Jackson,
Oh,
which
I
I
don't I can't he's got to get out there, man.
surely, but like the other thing too is that the Abby group is not the full group from the game. It's there Jordan's not in it. I think there's another one. I can't remember. I'm super iffy on this, but I know Jordan is not in the show. And so as far as like when certain people are met and when they kill those people, like it's going to get moved around a bit in such a fashion where I'm wondering if they're propping it up to where Tommy doesn't end up going, or at least not when we expect him to go. I don't know. There's also the whole Seth thing too, which was fascinating. They did a lot more with Seth this time around.
I saw that. Oh,
Yeah.
that was interesting. I don't know. They're making him more of a character.
I wonder if there's like more of him, like because I've listened to the first two podcasts of Neil and Craig sort of breaking down the episode. I haven't listened to episode 3 yet, but he did spend some time talking about how Seth is going to play a bigger role. Now watching episode 3, I get how it's expanded upon. It's interesting. I almost find like Seth is maybe a bit foreboding. I'm seeing a lot of people say like, oh, he had a redemption arc. It's like, well, you know, very clearly Ellie did not forgive him, not right when she accepted the sandwiches. She doesn't have to forgive him for what he did.
Right.
And clearly there's still some hostility there, but I think it's more foreboding that like she's willing to put aside an issue that is so important to her to like shake this guy's hand and accept his help because they're maybe united in a thing that ideally is like not necessarily the best thing for these people, you know?
I was gonna say he's kind of on the side. He's been on like the wrong side consistently. He's pushing pretty hard right now to go after, and they don't know, as you're pointing out, that they're like a militia now. You know, so he's kind of pushing for them to pretty much go and get wiped out for a vast majority of the 16 people. So I thought that was kind of funny the way that he was in the town hall meeting and like standing up when it's not his turn and yelling about it and aligning technically then with Ellie
Yeah.
after what maybe he felt the need to do it. Maybe he after what happened, he's like, I'm trying to make amends somehow. I'll take Ellie's side on this. I'll stand
But
up, make a big thing about it.
I don't think that that's what it was though. I think that was him being like he's motivated to like he on principle he doesn't like that somebody came to their community and killed one of their own. I think he like that like the whole Ellie and what he said like maybe he did feel deeply regretful and I'm misreading that, but I feel like they're setting aside their own personal issues with each other to be united in what is sort of a problematic thing to be very united on, which is to go out of your way to kill these people.
We also gave him the sniper rifle, or at least the long range rifle on the way out too.
He
So
sure
that
did.
couple of scenes for him to seem a bit more helpful to the situation overall.
I
Do you think one of the things you mentioned Tommy's vote? Do you think one of the revelations is going to be that he voted to go, and that's like him leaving? You think that's how they're going to play it up? Like he actually wanted to go, but he got voted down by the council.
yeah, the council thing was so cool because I'm like, well, not only is this interesting to see more of the dynamics of Jackson, but I
Hmm.
think it's very purposeful that like three said yes, and you're wondering who said yes, and the
Right.
audience might immediately think Jesse, Maria, and Tommy, or maybe the audience is thinking not Maria because maybe Maria's more pragmatic and that's how she was in the game. But I think Maria did vote, and I think Tommy didn't, and that information will come out.
Oh, so you think Tommy voted not to go?
I think so. Maybe Jesse too.
Uh,
Maybe Jesse also voted no
be
because that
interesting.
yeah.
I do
Uh,
wonder if they're going to come back to that and have some sort of reveal that either one of them or both of them voted, and that's like as they're heading out, it's like, oh yeah, they wanted to go too.
mhm.
Even though
Maybe.
they were kind of playing up the idea of like he was talking to the psychologist in the baseball field, about it.
That's the psychotherapist thing is or psychology. I don't know how I feel about that angle. The characters, I mean, like Catherine O'Hara is doing a great job. She's nailing the character, funny, witty, full stop, great job. But like, I now I'm starting to question like how necessary is this?
How necessary? Yeah,
I don't know.
it's kind of the inner. She's kind of playing the idea of the inner monologue almost, or like the character talking to themselves. When we'd play the game, they'd say stuff to themselves or whatever. It's like that doesn't really fit. So we need a character to talk to them and kind of bring it out. And I kind of feel like that's what she's playing right now.
Yeah, maybe it seems like exposition that like maybe they feel it has to be there. The thing is, episode 1, I thought like, "Oh, this was a really cool thing between her and Joel," but like episode 3 where like she's questioning Ellie right when she wakes up and she's like prying for info. It's like, "Why are you prying for info?" That also kind of breaks an oath that you don't even really have to abide to in this fucking world, but still it's
Maybe
like,
that's the twist. Maybe she plays into the end twist of the season.
well, there is more for sure because we know Eugene's going to play a bigger role. So I'm saying it now thinking like I don't know if I care too much for why they're giving her so much of a place in the story, and I'm maybe it'll change, but for now I felt like the hospital interview was like kind of weird.
Hmm. Well, I think they've been doing a pretty good job so far with the first 3 episodes.
I would
I
say so
do.
too. I'm loving it despite
There are
reservations.
other scenes, right? But there's some other scenes coming up that they'll have to. I'll be curious how they tackle. But they showed a quick glimpse of Ellie beating Nora in like the red room with the lighting and stuff. So they're
Yeah.
going to obviously into that. But the thing that's with Last of Us Part Two or Last of Us in general, it probably makes some of this stuff easier for them because they don't have to reimagine some of those big scenes necessarily, since how far video games have come. Like the cinematography is pretty close. But on the other hand, if they have to adapt or change anything, it's extremely noticeable. So it is a they are walking a tightrope here with this thing.
Yep. And there's a lot of scrutiny. But I'll say this: so far, it feels very lateral to me. Like there's things I like, things I dislike, but 3 episodes in, it feels like it's just a different way to tell the story. And I don't think it's like necessarily doing so much better or worse. It just feels like a different version, and it's kind of
I
aligned.
Yeah, I think the biggest criticism I see, and I get it. It's some of the casting. It's like it is becoming a little unbelievable at times when they show like Abby and Ellie and some of the stuff they're supposed to be doing. You're like, can really like we're gonna see now that Ellie and Dina and stuff are going out there how this is gonna line up. The one that I'm the most curious about is actually Abby because she's like the smallest one on set just about.
Yeah.
went from like one of the biggest people on set during the game to now the smallest person. So I don't know how. I feel like they're gonna have to change a lot of stuff there with that.
I mean, I'll admit, I still would have totally loved to see like if they stuck with Caitlyn, like let her bulk up, let her, she's still like a short woman, but it doesn't really matter. Like I would have totally been cool with like her seeing her bulk up a little bit, but casting wise, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I
Mm,
feel like they've been nailing it so far emotionally. I mean, as far as like from how I've seen it and how they're delivering certain scenes, I think they're hitting it right on the money. Like I for Bella, my God, I loved that they kept the closet scene where she goes in and breaks down right in front of Joel's jacket, which was the way more than the game. That's another nuance I think the game, or rather the difference they're doing with the game versus
mm.
the show. The game, like Ellie's pretty, hard-headed right away, and she doesn't get this sort of emotional breakdown and PTSD until like much further in. But like here, Bella's sort of selling it immediately, and like that closet scene, I was like, oh my God, I love that she's breaking down right now, and the way it was shot, I think she's doing an incredible job. Caitlin, we just haven't seen enough.
No, we haven't. I mean, she did
Yep.
good with the exposition, like just speaking back and forth with Joel and explaining it, and like that was good.
It was good, but I would, if looking back, it did seem a bit long. Like
No, it did. It
this is
definitely went on for a while. They tried to explain a good bulk of the plot for the game in like 10 minutes.
yeah. So she's doing great too, but I want to see more of her.
I just need to see how some of these scenes play out. Like, it's gonna look strange at times with Bella Ramsey doing some of the stuff. Maybe that's just how it is. A lot of people are posting like the screenshots and memes. I get it, but I need to see
That
how it
that
plays
stuff's
out
mean. That's
between
mean,
her
man.
and Caitlyn. No, I mean just in general, like the way that they are like posting Abby and like Caitlyn and like putting this just it doesn't necessarily seem like it would work in the setting that this video game character is in and then this character is in.
I don't know. It feels like so many
But yeah,
hangups on like how
there's
they.
some mean stuff for Bella Ramsey. Yes.
Yeah, well, it's just I feel like a lot of it is very mean spirited and coming from a place of just a sort of bad faith argument. I don't know. To me, there's a lot of it that is just so tightly hung up on the fact that they just don't completely mirror their video game counterparts. I can't get behind that.
Oh yeah, no, that's definitely a
Yeah.
thing. That's definitely a thing. But I'm curious how they tackle some of the plot points and scenes. And after what we saw with the Joel's death, they certainly changed some of the stuff up. So
I'm glad they did it. I'm glad they did it. Full send
they
it.
had to. They had to. Again, it calls to reaction once again. The user score for the episode on I think Metacritic was like a 4 point something. So it got review bombed again. Let's go.
Dude, I think episode 2 was like it was like a really good episode of television. I don't watch a lot of TV, so I mean, by all means, throw my opinion out the window on this one. But like between the dramatic death and the horde, shit was good. It was compelling from start to finish.
On 84 user ratings, it has a 5.8.
84. Come on.
Yep, 84 ratings has a 5.8 on Metacritic from user score.
84. Bah humbug.
This one's from EBP.
Oh, he's gonna read it.
With a 0. I don't know. It's a 0 saying all they had to do was copy. They said terrible. All they had to do was copy 1-to-1. Was the plot of the game, the script, the dialogues, everything. They didn't even care that the races didn't match and the actors weren't all like they used to be. They really don't like that. They really don't like the actors.
Oh God. Well, stop watching it. Like,
this is from Glob. Gave it a 1. Says all these changes ruins the flow of the story, spitting in the face of the source material.
well, that's just silly. Like, it's the same story. It's happening. That's what I don't get, John. A lot of people are saying like, oh, they're making all these changes. It's like, yeah, but it's like they're not big to me. Like the same shit's happening. The same shit is happening.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, it would have been funny if they did something completely different, but that wouldn't have been the plot of that would have been The Last of Us 2 then.
Remember
It
when
would have been something
remember
else.
when Ellie tamed an elephant and she started eating circus peanuts? Like that would be pretty fucking different. That'd be very
Yeah,
unusual.
some of these review bombings are so weird. Well, I don't know. Although I don't know, maybe the last ones also didn't do that. Well, okay, episode 1, Future Days 5.7, Through the Valley 5.8. Oh, The Path got the most. Episode 3 got a 4.8 from users. What happened there?
Well,
They like that one less.
at
They
this
like
point,
Joel getting his head bashed in with the 3-iron more.
at this point, if that's the record we're seeing, I don't think it's going to really hold up for the next few ones.
No,
Probably not.
no. But that was the last 2 episodes. So I'll be more up to date because I'm not playing Claire Obscure as much now, or I won't be in a couple weeks. So I'll be more up to date then. Blame Claire Obscure and how good it is. Okay.
Oh, I do want to add my mom was a goddamn wreck.
Oh, right. Oh, I was gonna say that's right. That's right. Yeah, she hasn't experienced the games at all, right?
She's not a gamer. No, not even
Did she
close.
find The Last of Us on her own, or did you tell her to watch it?
Oh, I told her she's a big Walking Dead fan.
Oh,
So
okay,
like,
yeah, sure.
back when like season 1 was happening, I'm like, hey mom, like this is, keep your eyes on this. Like it's a zombie type show, but I'm like, it's a video game, and they're making it into a. So she loved season 1, and man, I mean, right away I'm like, oh shit, she is not going to take this well.
No warning at all.
No, she she called me after, and I could tell she was like still kind of like crying, and
Oh man, you no warning, man.
she was still she's like Ryan, that was just awful. She's like I can't even eat. She's like I was gonna make dinner after this. I can't even eat.
You didn't tell her. You didn't say, "Hey,
No. Here's
things might go left."
here's another rant, John. Why are so many like I hate how we're just so addicted to spoilers. What like people are not being clever with the golfing jokes.
Yep.
They're just not. Give it a rest. Just shut up and if somebody doesn't know what's going to happen, shut up. You're not being clever with the I hope you like golfing. Like go outside, touch grass, stop being an asshole. Leave people alone and let them experience things. Don't even give them out of context spoilers. Just shut your mouth, let things happen. That's my rant.
To be fair, they posted it. They're the ones who posted a picture of the 3-iron first.
Listen, that's not the point. They're
I don't
part
even know
of
if
it.
it's a 3-iron. I don't know what it is. I don't know which club she beat him with.
They're a part of it too.
Is that like going to be a trivia question someday? What club did Abby use to beat Joel to death? I don't know I don't know which one it is.
It better be $1 million question on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
I just keep saying it with conviction, so maybe people believe me. It's a 3-iron. I don't know.
I did not tell her.
So is she like Team Ellie now? She's like gotta kill Abby, all that stuff.
Oh yeah, like that's she's going down that rabbit hole. She's like, I hope she kills that fucking bitch.
Keep going on the road of revenge. You gotta try to talk her down.
I'm having to explain it to her though. I'm like, Mom, but it's like good television. Like it's surprising, isn't it? And she's like, Ryan, that was awful. and by awful, I mean like it was hard to watch. She's not saying it was bad,
I mean, there's gonna be much more death as we go along.
Yeah, it's fun though. She's asking questions. She's like, "So what's up with that group?" And I was, "Oh, well, you'll learn more about them later." And
so, do you think she'll be? I'm curious. Do you think she'll be more torn up about? Although Joel, obviously a mainstay character for the series here up to this point, think she'll be more torn up with like Mel?
No.
No, really, I don't think so.
My mom's ruthless. She'll relish in that moment, probably.
Think so? I don't know. I was something like if she had played through the game and gotten to that point, I don't know. That might have affected.
No, she's one track. She's one track mind. She'd be like good.
Oh wow. Okay, there you go. There you go. Even though she saw what happened with Abby, because they gave her context right up front.
She's also just a big fan of Pedro Pascal. So
okay. So she didn't like Game of Thrones either then.
She didn't watch that.
Oh, it's a good thing. His head exploded.
Yeah,
He actually, he's got his head beaten in 2 franchise so far.
that's what he
Man.
gets for I don't know, being himself, I guess.
Well, is that everything for The Last of Us?
That's it. That's my soapbox. I'll
The
step
catch
off it.
up?
I'll step off it
Okay.
now.
Well, you said we have 4 more episodes. That means we have 2 more times we'll go over this.
Yep.
So that's cool. That'll be fun. It'll be fun. I don't know if I'm gonna start the game up again. I'm now I am thinking about like lining this up because technically we'd be up to the point now where we're just going out to the somewhat open-ended part like level. That's not that
Yeah.
far in. So I don't know. Maybe it's an excuse to play back through it. Although then I would stop, like I said, and then come back to it later when they start back up in a year or so.
I was feeling a part 2 playthrough again, but I just don't have time for that.
Remastered? Should we do it?
Uh, no, John, I got to go back to the PS4 version, get the platinum, do a save file
What?
transfer, get an
You
auto
do?
pop platinum.
That has
Yes,
to happen.
I didn't platinum on PS4.
Oh, how many trophies are you missing?
Like a lot of them. I only did one playthrough,
Oh,
and I went in blind, very blind.
you didn't get the platinum?
That's around late PS4 life cycles when I could not keep up with like some of the big like mainline releases that were coming out. Like I would gold path them and finish them, but
Hmm.
I was missing. I'm missing platinums on like a lot of the later life cycle PlayStation IP.
What are you
I
doing here?
played Days Gone on a different profile. I don't even have it on.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
I do have to start that up eventually just because I said I would play it this time. The
yeah.
remastered. Oh well. I'll do that. We'll see. You should get done Rebirth so you play Clair Obscure. Let's get that going.
Maybe I'll play it tonight.
Clair Obscure? Just fire it up. See what you're missing out on.
Oh, John, gotta go get these towers and Rebirth. God.
Yeah. You got to get that going.
Nope.
Gosh. Thanks everyone for joining us. Appreciate it. Sticking around for the Last of Us talk. That was like 45 minutes of talk for Last of Us, Ryan. That was pretty good.
I had a lot to say.
Yeah. We'll be back in a couple of weeks to do all over again. We'll see you guys then.